Hello, this is Mrs. Groves, and today we're going to be covering section 7.6, solving linear systems of linear inequalities. And a system means that you have two equations or two inequalities in this case. So the definition: a system of linear inequalities consists of two linear inequalities with two variables. Example: if we want to graph x is less than 5 and y is less than or equal to 5, first we need to know, okay, is this going to be a horizontal or a vertical line? This is going to be a vertical line. Y less than or equal to 5 is going to be a horizontal line. Because it's less than, okay, that means that it's going to be a dotted line. And here you have the equals, so that's going to be a solid line. So let's go through, and the first thing we do, and here, down here is a little kind of recipe for how to solve systems of linear inequalities. So first thing is that you graph the first inequality. So our first inequality is x is less than 5. So that means it's going to be a vertical line. It's going to go through 5. Because there's no equals, it is going to be dotted. Make sure you put the arrows on. Make sure that it goes the length of the grid. All right. And we want to figure out what side to shade. I'm sure you can guess what it is, but if we test 0, 0, okay, the x-coordinate, 0 less than 5, is true. So notice I'm drawing my line, and I'm drawing it in one direction. So the solution is everything on this side. This side, there are no solutions on that side. So the solution now we have limited to this half plane. So now we want to graph the y is less than or equal to 5. So the y-intercept's at 5. This is going to be a horizontal line. And you ask yourself, will it be solid or dotted? It's going to be solid because there's an equal. And again, we're going to test this point right here. And so if we test 0, 0, the y-coordinate is 0, so 0 less than or equal to 5, that's true. So that means that everything below this line is going to be a solution. But we already know that this can't be a solution, so we draw lines going like this. Okay? So when you're using your pencil, draw like basically a crosshatch, and then shade the solution region. So my solution region, or our solution region, is going to be right here. And I want you to get used to putting an arrow so that you identify. Oh, down here, we missed our second step, is to graph the second line, inequality. Our third step is to find where the intersection of the graphs. Okay. And the intersection, we're going to label that the solution region. So we're going to call that, because I know you won't want to write out solution region, so we call that the solution region. And just to make sure that you're able to see this in the back of the room, I'm going to make that just a little bit bigger. Okay. And so this is our solution region. The solution region is where the graphs intersect, and use, like we just did, an arrow to identify the solution region. So that's the solution region. I'm going to call that SR. Abbreviate that. So SR are all the points in the region where the graphs intersect. Now keep in mind, this is a solid line. So for a solid line, the points on this line are solutions. So if it's a solid line, the solutions are all these points that are on this line. This is a dotted line. So that means that these points are not solutions. So that's a very simple example of solving systems of linear inequalities. And so now what I'd like to do is do something a little bit more challenging. So we're going to turn this over. And our system, okay, we have these two equations. So we're going to graph the first inequality. And we say to ourselves, what's the easiest way to graph this? Well, the easiest way is to use intercepts. Right? Because you're going to get x and y values that are integers. So using the cover method, my x-intercept is going to be 6. So my x-intercept over here is 6. My y-intercept cover is 2. So here's my y-intercept. It doesn't have an equals, so it's going to be a dotted line. And I always want you to test a point. And the origin is the easiest point to test. So I want you to get in the habit of writing test 0, 0. So x is 0 plus 3 times 0 is 0. So the left-hand side is 0. And is 0 greater than 6? No, it's not. It's false. So this is not a solution. So the solutions are on the top. And lightly shade the top so you know that you don't have solutions down below this dotted line. Your solutions are up above. Now this equation, I'm going to get fractions if I use x and y intercepts, so I can't do that. So I'm going to put this into y equals mx plus b. All right? So we're going to isolate the y. We subtract 2x from both sides. And then we're going to get negative 3y greater than or equal to negative 2x plus 3. And now we're going to divide this by negative 3. This is an inequality. What's the rule that we have to remember? Switch symbol when you multiply or divide the variable by a negative number. Okay. So that means that this cancels out. I have y. I have to change it to less than or equal to. This simplifies. 2 negatives make a positive. 2/3 x minus 1. So now I'm going to graph that. So my y-intercept is at negative 1. I go up to 1, 2, over 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And I could do that again up to over 3. This is a solid line. I draw it. Again, I want to test 0, 0. I go back to the original. In the original inequality. So I go back to the original. If I put 0 here, 0 here, my left-hand side is 0, greater than or equal to 3. That's false. Okay, so that means that my solution region, okay, is not here. It is the bottom half of this line. So now I want to find the intersection of the graphs. And the intersection of the graphs are where the two areas overlap. And so I use my pencil and I shade that in. And then I mark that with solution region. Okay, so that area is the solution region. So I have two problems here that I want you to do, and I'm going to help you get started with this first one because it's very tricky. Here we have the slope is an implied 1. There's no number with it, so the y-intercept is equal to 0. So that means that my y-intercept is 0. I go up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, and I draw a dotted line. Now, this line goes through the origin. So I have to pick a different point. I have to pick one on the top or the bottom. And I go over and I look for an easy point. So I'm going to pick this point here, 5, 1. Right? And I'm going to test 5, 1. So this is the x, this is the y. So 1 is y, is less than x, which is 5. That is true. So this point is a solution. So this is the side that I shade. So now you can put this on pause, and when you're ready to look at these problems, I will finish them up, but I won't be talking. You'll have to follow along. So work on the problems on your own. And if you want, you can vote to decide whether you want the video put on pause, or if you just wanted to play and I'm not going to talk, I'm just going to demonstrate how to finish this problem. So I just finished number 2. Notice both lines are dotted. All right. I found that this area right here is where the graphs intersect. So that is my solution region. Now you can do number 3 or check number 3. And I'm going to speed up doing this problem. And for number 3, there is the solution region. Now, the best way to do this well is to practice more problems. So, at this point, here's a puzzle. Okay. And I'm going to work with you on doing, let's try to do number 1 and number 7. This one's easy, this one's more difficult. Number 7 is going to be more difficult, this one's easy. So you ask yourself, which graph do I want to do first? Right? Well, y is less than or equal to 1 is going to be a solid vertical line going through 1. And if I test 0, 0, if I test 0, 0. 0 is less than or equal to 1. That's true. So I shade the bottom. So now we're going to graph this one. The y-intercept is at -2. There's -2. Up 3, 1, 2, 3, over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's an equals. So again, it's going to be a solid line. Okay, make sure that you're covering the whole graph. So now you're going to test 0, 0. Is 0 greater than or equal to -2? It is. 0 is greater than or equal to -2. So that is a solution. So it's everything on top. So you know your solution region is right here. Okay? So the way the puzzle works is, which member of Freddie Ferd's family thinks he's a pen? Show the solution region for each system with cross-hatching or shading. We just did that. The cross-hatching or shading, if extended, should cover a letter. It does. T. Write the letter in each box with the exercise number. So I go down here for number 1, and I put a T. Okay. So we got one answer done. Now, to save you paper, here is a great way to do these problems and show your work. Fold this over, and we're going to do problem number 7. So problem number 7, and when we graph our first line, we're saying to ourselves, oh, that'll be easy to do with x and y intercepts. So the x-intercept is 3. The y-intercept is 2. And so now I'm going to graph that. So the x-intercept is at 3, 1, 2, 3. The y-intercept is at 2. It is a less than, so that means it has to be a dotted line. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. I got to figure out which side to shade. So I'm going to test 0, 0. And looking at the problem, the left-hand side is going to be 0, is less than 24, which is true. So that means that, okay, I shade the left-hand side. So now, this one I'm not going to be able to do with x and y intercepts. So you're going to have to put it into y equals mx plus b. I'm going to do it and you do it yourself. So I'm going to rewrite the problem here because we got one line. And I have 35x minus 20y is less than or equal to 80. Okay, I'm going to do the problem. You do the problem. And we'll check our answers when I'm done. Okay, so remember, if you've got two negatives, that's a positive. Okay, 5 goes in both the numerator and the denominator, so I can reduce that to 7 over 4. So now I'm going to take that, my y-intercept is -4, my slope is 7 over 4, and graph it. Notice I'm going to have this one be a solid line because of the equals. Okay. Now I'm going to test 0, 0 in the original equation. So 0 less than or equal to 80 is true. So I shade the side that has the origin. So here, the origin's here. So I shade this. This is the area. Okay. So here, the solution region is C. So for number 7, I put C. So your homework is to finish this, and then you have bookwork. Make sure that you get graph paper. Have a nice day, and I'll see you soon.